Welcome everyone to our August development chat. We're going to be going over a number of things today. We're going to start with showing you the interior designs. We're going to talk about the location system that got implemented and goes into testing this week. And we're also going to be going over the new token screens and the new backstory generator. So, Mithril, if you would navigate to the tavern and show us how to get inside, we will all be able to see what happens when you come up to a building and you decide to go into it. As you can see, as he gets close, it has an Enter Dagmar Tavern. So he's going to hit the E key and he's going to enter into our interior tavern, which is in desperate need of decoration. For those of you who like to decorate, we are going to be putting in a staff tool, much like Ultima Online had, where you'll be able to decorate the taverns for me and we'll be able to build them into the game. So that is one of the things I am going to be working on because I do not love decorating. And I know we have tons of people who do love to decorate. So instead of me taking that on, we're going to write a tool and we're going to let anybody who wants to decorate our interior buildings. We've got 23 of them to do for this scene. And yeah, Dwin is absolutely beautiful at decorating. If you have not had a chance to see the town she built in packs, it's worth asking for a look if she's willing to do it. It's spectacular. She did a really great job. But we've got a lot of qualified builders here that I know are going to be able to turn these interiors into something lovely. So this is what the interiors are going to look like. They're on the black, they're single story, easy to role play in, easy to navigate. This is the design for these interiors. Does anybody have any questions about that? I'm going to mute my mic for a moment and you can just go ahead and unmute and ask your questions, or you can type them into, I saw your work too, Nico, it's really good. We're going to see if anybody's got any questions.
When you're inside of a building, will there be access to separate floors such as cellars or anything?
At the moment, I'm going to avoid multi-layer, but eventually I do want to do it. Does anybody have any other questions? Does the tavern narration change depending on the events of the players? Great question. Absolutely, yes. The location system, which we can now introduce. David, I'm going to have you leave the tavern and go to a new location while I explain the location system. And you're going to see what happens when you enter into a region that has a point of interest. The point of interests are being shown to you at the top of the compass, and you'll be able to see where they are. You can navigate towards them. And he's going to run over there. The location system runs on the same Alwyn pipeline as the NPCs. They're treated as essentially sentient. Not sentient as in they know that they're a tavern, but sentient in the fact that they have the same ability to respond. So if you come in and you shout fire in a tavern, the Alwyn pipeline will pick it up and recognize that something dramatic is going on, determine if you actually did set a fire rather than just shout fire, and will go ahead to tell people what's going on when they enter. Now, is that location kicking off, sweetie?
Oh,
here.
I was
Scrolled up. All right. So as he's walking past the tavern, every location narrates itself. So you want to scroll up and we'll read the baker's household. You stand within the butcher shop, an exterior caught in the midst of a quiet afternoon. Baker's household, an exterior caught in the quiet afternoon. Now, one of the things that these locations are doing is providing meta information because he's got the old location write-ups. I fixed them this morning, but he didn't get a chance to load them. So they will not show meta information like this, only what you can physically see, smell, hear, or observe. Will every building allow you to enter? Every building in Buchenstrawn, which is the town we're in, will have an interior. But when we do a very dense cityscape, no, I'm not going to do every building. I'll probably do every third or every half, depending on what makes sense narratively. But of course, there's no limit. We can always add more. So this is a very easy thing to set up and add. It's in a platform off to the side. There's navigation that lets you know how to go in and out. The next part that's really cool is that the NPCs will go into their homes. Right now, they're all standing on their stoops, even in the middle of the night when they're supposed to be sleeping. But that's just a small tweak we need to finish once they actually have blank interiors to go into. And then we will have them for you guys to decorate once I finish that building tool. But the location system is very smart. It will do a variety of things. I'm going to actually put my mic on mute, and I'm going to let David explain what features is already coded into the location system and what our plans are.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So, yeah, the location system has, as you've seen, it's got the narration when you enter in. We have also added in, and it's not quite right yet, but we're working on it, where when role play happens in a location, we read through all of that role play. We have an AI that reads through that role play that happens. And if through the role play it is determined that some change should happen to the actual location itself, like let's say, for example, you're in the tavern and somebody in role play tosses over a table. That's an actual change to the way the location should be viewed and therefore narrated. So when that happens, the system will go and say, oh, a table was overturned. It then adds that as additional narration to that location for people who then come in after the fact. So if somebody enters into the tavern after the table was tossed over, part of their narration will include that. When they get the narration of the location, it'll include these changes that have happened. Right. There is also logic behind it where every time you enter a location, it won't give you the narration. We have cooldowns so that it'll only do it so often. So that you aren't if you're just traveling back and forth through the town, you're not constantly inundated with it. We also have it checked to where if you walk through an area and then a couple of minutes later, or maybe even 30 or 40 minutes later, come back through that location, it'll check and go, has anything changed since the last time this person came through this area? If nothing has changed, it doesn't provide you the narration. If something has changed, then it will provide you that new narration so that you're not inundated, but you are updated when things actually change somewhere. With the interiors, A building will have both an external narration as well as an internal narration. And if I actually go back to, if I go back to the tavern where that was
All
back
right,
this
just
way.
hold on talking. I'll explain while you narrate back. He wants to go back and check and show you something in the tavern. Greater asks, how sensitive are these to subtle perception check changes? Hidden scratch marks, markings being a learned skill makes them more likely to get narrated for these players. Absolutely. There's an entire skill system that tracks what you can do in a location. Can you steal something? Can you write on something? Can you buy something? Can you break something? Can you find a hidden item? And all of those will go to skill checks, standard tabletop skill checks to see if you can or cannot do it. This is one of the pieces we're going to be wiring up as part of this month-long test, is building up the ability to link those skills to activity. But even more useful is that the system really does keep track of anything. So if you, for example, crumpled up a note and threw a note into a waste paper basket, and another player comes 2 hours later and looks in that waste paper basket, it will actually have to look, because that wouldn't be immediately observable. What it will be able to do is tell you what the note was that you left in the waste paper basket, instead of having to keep items and objects and track who left it. It will naturally decay. Waste baskets will get emptied out. All of this will build, and so that every narration is responsive to the role play that happened within it. All right, so I'm going to go on mute again, and we're going to let David explain the rooms now that we're going back to this space.
Right. So one of the things that we recently made, along with the compass being actually active, is we now have this location section that tells you kind of where you are, and it updates whenever you move to a new location. It'll tell you the new location that you're actually in. And that tells you that when you are interacting with the environment, this is the actual location that you are interacting with. One of the things that the location system provides as well is, just like you can, for example, tag one of the NPCs here to have a conversation with the NPC or interact with everybody by using the @ here. You can also do @ location. Oh, it's not in here yet, but you'll also be able to do @ location. And that lets you interact directly with the location itself, so that you can do things like searching through chests or interacting with objects in that location to make changes to it, pick stuff up. You can do all kinds of things with it. And so you'll be able to interact directly with the location AI itself, just like you can with NPCs. And so kind of knowing what you're interacting with via this location as to where you are is really helpful. One of the things that we did for the interiors is, this interior is all one location, but it is broken up into rooms. So for example, this now tells me I'm at Dagbar's Tavern and I'm inside. I'm in the interior area of the tavern. Now, if I walk into here, it now tells me I'm in the tap room, which is this area here. And so when I am doing any interactions or anything, it's via the tap room. And so the AI will know what's actually in the tap room, what I can actually interact with, and what to update. Like, for example, if I turned over a table, the tap room knows I turned over the table. If I come over here, just as an example, and I step back into here, I'm now in the back room. And so any interactions I do with the location are all going to be relevant to the back room itself. So we kind of have that differentiation of where you are, what you're interacting with, and therefore what you can see in your narrations. Oh, okay. I can do that.
I just asked David to go back out and show you how to talk to an NPC. Most of those who are here now have seen that, but just a quick one. He's going to give you a quick demonstration of that.
All right. So let's talk with Wolfstan here. Oh, he's not showing up. Oh, do I need to? Because I. It'd help if I could type. There he is. All right. So Wolfstan. I have now tagged him, which that means that I am going to be talking to him. When you want to talk to NPCs, you have to tag them. Otherwise, they're not going to be listening to your role play. When you tag an NPC, that means you want that NPC to listen to you because you're going to be having a conversation with them.
The main reason we did that is because I have been in roleplay communities where the NPCs are constantly intruding on top of player roleplay, and nobody really loved that. So these scenarios are designed to allow you to optionally get the NPC to respond to you rather than having them intrude. However, if you do something dramatic in a location, such as starting a bar fight, such as lighting the tavern on fire, or anything else where the NPC should respond, the location system acts as the control brain for that, and it will track your role play. And it will say, okay, this was something that the other NPC should respond to. And the location, via its scope, its goal-oriented action planning, will tell the other NPCs, somebody has started a bar fight, respond however your character would respond, which means the bouncer's going to come over and try and stop you, and the barmaid's going to hide under the table, or whatever anybody is going to do. I'm going to let him come back and explain how to role play. Hold on, Clarn asks, do the surrounding NPCs that are not tagged are listening to the conversation even if they don't interact? They are kind of listening. The conversation itself is considered to be within their range of hearing, so that from a data retrieval standpoint, they can say what they overheard, but they don't use it as a hard leverage on what they recall and don't recall, for example, because the point here is that you don't listen to every conversation going on around you in the real world. You focus on the person you're talking to. So we don't assume that every NPC is actively snooping on every other conversation going around. But if the conversation becomes something that is dramatic, it will be told to actively listen and interact. All right, so I'm going to pause and let David show you the talking to Wolfstan.
All right. So once you've tagged them, and you can tag them at any point while you're typing up your post if you want to, you don't have to do it first. But one thing tagging does do is as soon as you tag, for example, an NPC, that NPC goes into a state of, oh, okay, I'm listening rather than attempting to wander off. That currently isn't perfect. Sometimes they do still wander off, and I'm still working that out. But the intention is, as soon as you tag an NPC, it shouldn't continue wandering or attempt to go and do other things. It should be focused on your conversation. You can also tag players. And the real point of tagging players is as soon as you hit that tag to another player, they will get a notification on screen that says you are wanting to interact with them. That way you don't have to try and do a quick type out, hey, wait a minute, or whatever to get them to stop and notice you. You can just tag them and they'll immediately get a notification to say they want to interact with you.
I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but I can't tell you how many times I was trying to type to a role player and they walked past before I could finish getting my post out. So that's why we added that, so that, we could stop the player and the player would know somebody was typing to them.
And that's a great idea, Dwayne, to add an audible signal as well. I like that.
Cosmo, I have not forgotten about your question, but if I do forget about it, remind me. I want to come back to it at the end.
All right. So we've tagged him and we've got our post. And so we can hit submit. And then what happens at this point. So we now see that he's thinking about it and he's going to go through and process and provide us a response. But down at the bottom, you notice a Grim is weighing your words. And what we do with player posts is we run it through an AI just to do checks like making sure you're not using I'm forgetting the word, anachronistic language. You're not saying, adjust the pistol on his belt, things like that are not actually part of the world, making sure you're not just trying to do an OOC post outside of the OOC indicators, stuff like that. We're just kind of doing a check to make sure that that's not happening.
And this is one of the things a lot of AI games have a challenge with, because we've all heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. If what goes into the database goes into canon, what you write, what you role play is saved. It becomes real and it becomes something that the NPCs are going to remember. It'll be things NPCs talk about. So it's important to make sure that what goes through is not anachronistic, is not copywritten to say Lord of the Rings, isn't attempts to jailbreak the AI, because we don't need jailbreaking, and shouldn't be out of character comments like, hold on, I need to go grab coffee. Those go into traditional out of character posts like that. So all it's doing is making sure that our canon is clean. It doesn't change your post. It doesn't rewrite it, but it does come back and say, David, can you show what happens when a post fails and what the responses are?
Correct.
So while he's typing, I'm going to respond to Cosmos's question. Cosmo asks, is the pink moon a time zone, and will there be any time-limited quests or anything? We're not doing quests in the traditional sense really at all. So for instance, if an NPC needs something done, it's just going to ask you to do it. And if it can't do it, or you haven't agreed to do it, it's going to ask somebody else to do it. And if you didn't get it done in time, just like in the real world, it asked for somebody else to do it. So it doesn't have time limits. There's no repeatable quests. Everything you're doing is real-time interaction with that NPC. You don't earn credits that way. You don't complete quests that way, because also keep in mind, we don't use an XP system. You start this game at max combat level. There will be other areas where you can improve and specialize your character. But we learned a long time ago that if you tell role players that you can role play now at level 0 or wait until you've hit max level, online role players almost always insist on leveling before they start role playing, and that can take anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And by that time, they haven't gotten any role play, and so they quit the game because they didn't get any role play because they spent the entire time leveling. So we've just eliminated leveling completely. All specialization of a character comes through social economy, and we can go into that at a different level. There are design documents that talk about it. All right, David, I'm handing you this back. Cosmo, let me know if that answered your question.
Okay. So, for example, here, if I tried to mention Klingons in a post, I'm going to submit it. Grim is going to think about it. And he's going to come back and say, hey, wait a minute. Klingons belong to the waking world. You may, and it gives you some other things. We're going to be working out what this actually provides you a little better. It's just kind of giving a basic response at the moment. But you can do a couple of different things here. We can tell it to go ahead and wrap this in OOC for me, or we can tell it apply some fixes, meaning remove what it doesn't like about it. So if I say wrap in OOC, it'll go and it just kind of wraps it in the OOC tokens, which is the double parens. Now, it didn't do it terribly smartly, and it's not always going to do it smartly, but you can absolutely say, okay, let me copy this back to the compose window and edit it yourself. What you can also do, let me just come back here and do the same thing again. Go ahead.
Now, our expectation, guys, is that this will not kick off very often. It's not something that needs to be tracked all the time. I figure most players are going to learn it and avoid it. And it's really an onboarding tool to kind of get people used to the idea of it. It's not trying to control your role play. It's just trying to keep my database clean. But it is important to note, yes, Narante, you can just edit it yourself. Absolutely.
Yep.
It is important to note that within your player housing, that is not tracked at all by the system. So in your private homes, there's no constraints on your role play, because while we log that for moderation issues, we don't actually put that into canon. So you'll have the ability to not have the AI babysitting your insertion into canon comments in your private homes. If that doesn't work out and people are like, but we're doing all this great canon role play in our houses and we really want the option, then we'll make an adjustment and give the ability to do a toggle. Does anybody have any questions so far on that? David, you can continue, and if they've got questions, they can pick up right after.
Yeah. So the other option here I can do is say, go ahead and apply fixes for me. And it ends up replacing it with sea monsters, which is something more fiction relevant as opposed to Klingons. Now, your third option, as Lara discussed, is you can just say, okay, well, I'm going to go in here, go back to the compose window. Your text is still here. You can still edit it to be whatever you want. And so I can instead say, where are the goblins? Post that. Oh, it didn't like goblins for some reason. Interesting.
That's a prompt error.
That is a prompt error.
That's one of the things we're going to be finding and fixing. with
Correct.
Listed.
Right. We will definitely be finding things along the way. But that is your other option, and you can just come in, edit it yourself to be whatever you want. You don't have to accept its fixes. If you do the apply fixes and you do like what it puts here, you just click copy to compose window. It copies that entire thing and replaces what's in your compose, and you can just submit post. Yep, go ahead.
So the goal here is to make sure that we do not have canon drift while also respecting player agency over their writing, because this isn't a game for people to come in and babysit, watch, enjoy. It's not television. I'm not expecting people to come in and simply watch what the NPCs are doing and saying. This is a game for writers and storytellers. So I'm expecting the stars of the show to be the writers and the storytellers, and the NPCs here are the backdrop, the cast, the people at the Renaissance Fair who are the backdrop, and hopefully we're all telling our primary stories. So nobody raised their hand for any questions. If anybody actually has any questions, I'm happy to handle them, or we can grab them at the end. If that's done, we're going to actually leave the game world, and I'm going to introduce the backstory generator and the new token map. At which time, if you have questions, I'm going to open them up. Please have them ready so that I can get through them. Go ahead, and we're going to change characters. One of the nice things about this is changing characters is relatively easy. We actually are probably going to be allowing you to run 2 characters at the same time from the same application. For those of you who like to tell stories with a main character and somebody working as a bartender, you're going to be able to dual box if you want. You can have up to 5 main characters and an unlimited number of characters on the shelf. So David, go ahead and go in and edit Mithril. And let's go over to his Waking World backstory. That's the profile, Waking World backstory. Up. Waking World. All right. So currently, he has written a backstory for his character. Okay. This was something either he grabbed from our sample generator or he wrote himself. We want you to write your own backstories. The whole reason that the Waking World exists is to fuel your imagination and let you write your backstories and be creative with them, and to really flesh out where your character is from in that giant background world, okay? This is really important to us. But we also recognize that there's a lot of people that have difficulties digesting lore. So there's a writing guide. One of the things you'll see in our character creation process is I put a lot of guides like right on the screens to help you understand what needs to be done. This is not a get in and set up quickly and easily experience. We're not planning for players that want a fast setup and don't want to take the time. This is what role players, what writers want. We need our full character. But what I'm going to have you do, David, is hit the fact check. And this is now an improved fact check. It will go through and proofread my draft. And I use an LLM to go through and check your backstory against the core fictional components of the Waking World. Not fact by fact by fact, generally. Did you grasp that it was an early industrial world? Did you grasp the setting? Did you know it was a continent on its own? And it will go through and do a check. I don't care if you run the fact check. you don't have to do the fact check. You can write whatever you want, except when you bring something into the game world that is either copywritten or anachronistic, obviously the game's not going to let you post it. So making sure that you can check your backstory. We put this in not to take away agency, but to save everybody the misery of applications where they have to read their backstory and some admin or application person has to check and be like, no, that's not valid. No, that's not valid. All because you're like, but I didn't read the books. What do you want from me? So this is an upgraded sample backstory. The fact checker is a little bit more solid. It's a little bit tighter. It's just going to give you its opinions. You can apply those changes. You can ignore those changes. If you decide to apply the edits to draft, go ahead and click on that. It will modify your draft to include those changes. You can still edit it after it's done. I got to work on that. What's in? No, Dwayne, it has not gotten better at that, but it's better at other things. So that fact check has now been integrated into it and shows the changes. What I want to do is actually go to generate sample, David. Okay. And I want you to delete that from your draft. And I want you to hit generate sample. This new generate sample tool is an improvement on the previous one. It's not complete. It will still make errors. It's not perfect. I can't finalize it until you guys write backstories. So that's one of the things I'm going to be asking is to take some time and care with your backstories. And then I will go through and check all of them individually. Dwin, this will be an example of where you put in the raised in one region, but born in one region, but raised in another. This will be the kind of thing where I will improve those prompts. Again, it's important to understand it's a helper tool. It's not intended to replace your own creative writing unless you really just hate writing backstories. And that's perfectly valid. I've been role-playing for over 30 years, and I hate writing backstories. What this new backstory tool does is it takes into account more information than the last one did. It now takes into account your natal chart, your family name, not only your region, but your birth date and age, as well as your pronouns, and it gives you a slightly longer backstory. The nice thing is that backstory is also ran through the fact checker itself, so we don't have that uncanny annoyance where before you were generating a sample backstory and then you did the fact check and it had a meltdown. It may still do a meltdown. These are AIs. This is not, they're not code. So the AI sometimes bitch about something that it didn't care about the day before. And we'll just explain that to everybody. They're helper tools, not intended to be replacement to you actually reading the lore and writing your own backstories. All right. Anybody have any questions on that? Anybody hate that? Anybody love that? I'll take any feedback. While that's happening, David's going to navigate us over to the new token map. And I want to do that from creating a new character, David.
Okay. Race. Mannequin. Hero. Okay. And then which one do you want to go to?
I'll navigate you in a minute. So just pick
Okay.
hero you're finding. You're going to go to the token map. Lauren, thank you for mentioning that. That's really what I felt is that it is really upsetting to go through and write something up, and you're role playing with a backstory point and you missed something because you forgot it or didn't read the whole thing. So this should generally get you on page. And also, because this backstory is not the canon for the gameplay area, it's not actually something that goes into canon. So if you guys contradict each other a little bit, it's no big deal. Seems real. Maybe someone with good skills can bypass. Oh yeah, just write your backstory. Nothing requires you to generate it or fact check it. Nothing at all. All right. So I have made a huge change to the token maps and how tokens are put together, because we don't have the technical skill set to build a multi-racial, multi-appearance, giant character creator with all of the variety that's going to get us the 100 races that are in this game. There's 100 races in this game, and I want all 100 because I want them, but I don't have the ability to create one universal character creator tool for all those races. So what we're doing is token packs. So a particular race may have token options from one asset vendor or from another asset vendor or from a third asset vendor. In this case, the asset vendor we're using is one called Soft Kitty. So I named this token pack the Three Little Kittens because I love cats. And it made sense with Soft Kitty. So what you can do is you click on your token pack, and it will tell you about this token pack. It'll tell you what it's good at, what it's bad at, what it is missing. It's just an honest representation of what's in this pack and what's not in this pack. And we can have as many packs as we can afford. All right, I can put 15 human packs in here, and you can pick the packs you like. If you look at a pack and you go, hey, Lara, I found this great pack on the Unity Assets store. Can we implement this pack? With reason and pricing, yeah, we can put in as many packs as you want so that we can have as much variety for our little map dudes as possible. So you're going to hit the select, okay? And it opens up the creation for this particular asset pack. Every asset pack will have different varieties, so you'll have different choices. So go ahead, we're going to pick skin tone. All right. And then we've got 5 different builds. And yes, the height bub has been fixed, Twin, before you ask. Rotund no longer gets taller. The height slider now gives the actual height in inches and centimeters, and those are racially constrained. So this pack allows you to go down to 4'6" and all the way up to 6'6", which is a standard human range. Hair choices. This particular asset pack has some nice hair for the men and not so great for the women, but it also allows us to add hair assets. So if any 3D artist is like, holy crap, I want to add more hair, let's hear it. Come tell me and we'll give you the tools to get more hair added to these particular assets. The view window expands and collapses, full rotation, zoom in and zoom out. So you've got a lot more look at what your little avatar looks like. As you note, this does not have the sophistication of an Elder Scrolls or a Final Fantasy, and it's never going to because we don't have that skill set. We're storytellers, not 3D artists. So change the hair color, do some beards. Tarzan. All right, let's scroll down. He's looking very, very, yeah, you can't get this close to yourself in game anyway. So, we didn't put a ton of detail in because you're not even going to see it in the game. Next thing is there are starter outfits. Before, you could pick anything you wanted, but now you have to pick from a group of outfits. And I'm not going to go into why I did that. It's a little bit more sophisticated, but it will play into the outfit system into the rest of the game anyway. So you can pick your armor. We went through and got the weird comic book glow off all of the armor. Absolutely. All the animals, Azrael. All right, so yes, Olive, after you design the character, you can change the outfit and look later on, and that will actually be tied to the outfit system. So, for example, when you start with an armor starter outfit, you'll be given an inventory object that says starter armor, and putting that on will associate this token setup with that outfit. You can then go buy a dress and you can put in a starter cloth dress outfit, and you can associate not only a 2D image with that character, but a token set to match it. So you'll be able to swap out your token setups and your 2D profile pictures directly connected to the outfit equipable tokens. So I said I wasn't going to explain it, but there, I explained it. Let's open this up and go look at the hues, David. So you're going to want to close that. And this is the new hue editor. You can adjust the entire outfit at once, which is what I want you to do first, David. The first icon.
Oh, okay.
And I want you to show how you can adjust the hues and the saturations. If you don't change the saturations, it's not so obvious. You may need to change which color you're doing. So pick the next circle.
Gotcha. There we
There
go.
we go. Okay. So you will have the ability to change the colors and hues on your armor. Some of these armors are a little darker than others in their native texture set. So some of them need to be a little lightened so they take color better. That's just a polish that anybody who wants to help work on that can. All right. And this all saves. So that's your new token creator.